Hello and welcome to another episode of PodcastDX, the show that brings you interviews with people just like you whose lives were forever changed by a medical diagnosis. I'm Lita.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Jean Marie.
Collectively, we're the hosts of PodcastDX. On today's show, we are speaking with Christina Coates. In 2017, Christina was diagnosed with small cavernous malformation with a previous hemorrhage in her cerebellum. In 2021, she had a craniotomy to remove the malformation and developed HOD, which is what we'll be discussing today, on her medulla, which is a portion of the brain.
Oh boy, we have the brain somewhere over there.
The brain here. Come on over here, brain. All right. So,
This
front
is
of the brain, back of the brain. The medulla is down here. All right. So, her symptoms began a few months after the Cavernoma resection, creating HODA, and let me give you the whole long name for this. This is Hypertrophic Olivary Degeneration. And creating the Hypertrophic Olivary Degeneration Association is a passion project for Christina, with the hope of replicating the success that the Angioma Alliance has had. Christina has worked in accounting and finance for her entire career. God bless people with numbers. And enjoys her volunteer work with the Arizona Chapter of the Angioma Alliance. Christina relishes the opportunity she has to support and attend the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, I'm a Cubs fan, but we'll give it to you. Reading, she also enjoys.
Cardinals is football.
What?
It is?
Oh, it is? Oh, I thought
Yes.
Cardinals were baseball.
Diamondbacks are.
Diamondbacks. Okay, all right, I'll let you have football.
Cardinals are baseball too, but
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, we got different
Go
teams.
sports teams.
We'll do sports later.
Okay.
She also enjoys reading and the outdoor activities as her symptoms permit. And today we'll be talking about HOD, which is a diagnosis that we had never heard before. Hypertrophic Olivary Degeneration, which, according to the National Institute of Health, is a rare neurological condition caused by degeneration in the brainstem, down here, to the spinal cord. Hypertrophic Olivary Degeneration, and we'll be calling it HOD for short, is a disease that can be a complication of brainstem or from cerebellar hemorrhage, specifically lesions within the Julian-Maillard triangle. Did I say that right?
Oh, we didn't do it at all close. That's okay.
Okay.
We did practice beforehand.
We did.
Yep.
Which is in the midbrain, more often lead to HOD. Currently, there's no reliable data available to the incidence of HOD after brainstem lesions or surgery, including radiosurgery. But anyway, welcome to the show, Christina.
Hi, Christina.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you all. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's my honor. Thank you very much.
Thank
That
you.
was a mouthful.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
looking at Lita, and she's just that was a lot.
Yeah.
Again, welcome, Christina. This is Ron. The organization RareDiseases.org states that symptoms of HOD include palatal or throat tremors, palatal meaning soft palate, or throat tremors, oscillating nystagmus, am I pronouncing that right?
Yep, that's right.
Which the pupil of the eye involuntarily moves in circles. Also lack of movement coordination, also known as ataxia. Holmes tremor, which is a distinct tremor usually in the upper body. Also vision problems, muscle weakness, and or gait impairment. Christina, can you start us off by telling our listeners, did you have a stroke or a surgery that caused this? Or what were the symptoms that first led you to the doctor?
Thanks, Ron. So as Lita had mentioned, I had a resection for my cerebellum.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually the lesion was on my fourth ventricle, which is still cerebellum, but is adjacent to brainstem.
Mm-hmm.
And in a previous episode, I had heard that Jean Marie had
Mm-hmm.
Chiari malformation. I believe that's all in the same area.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's definitely not a fun time to go through that.
Nope.
Let me take you back. I'll start you at the beginning. So in
Okay.
2017, as you had mentioned, I was having daily migraines,
Oh.
and I'd had my first migraine when I was 19, and then I'd have like one, maybe two a year after that.
Okay.
So to have them daily was really impacting my function at work.
Sure.
Wow.
And just in general in life, it's not fun to have a migraine, period. But when you learn to live with migraine, you know that it's it's an interesting life and you can do it. It's tough, but you can do it. So I went to my general doctor, whom I'm very lucky to have found. Anytime I tell her that there's a problem, she actually believes me. And we work together to try and diagnose the problem and also to fix the problem.
Okay.
So when I saw her, I told her, there's something wrong with my brain.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
what's happening. And she told me, okay, what do you think we should do? And I said, I think we should maybe do an MRI, do some imaging, which is rare, but she actually sent me for an MRI just based on our conversation. So I got the MRI, and the doctor's office personnel called me and left a voicemail to let me know that they found a abnormality in my brain.
Oh.
So I only mention that because it's kind of a
yeah.
theme throughout my entire story is just like, really?
Oh my
You thought that was appropriate to leave a message?
Wow.
So they, in the same message, they recommended that I find a neurologist to see because this was out of their scope. So I tripped and fell over one of the best neurologists ever. And he had me for our initial visit, and we were going through the scans.
Mhm.
And he stopped on one. He says, "What the heck is that?
Oh
I don't know
no.
what that is."
Oh,
Wow.
So, and then it's like, "Oh no, it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine." But I'm going to refer you to a neurosurgeon at Barrow. And Barrow Neurological is, I'm very lucky where I live. I'm 10 minutes from Barrow and half an hour from Mayo. So Barrow
Oh, wow.
Neurological
Yeah.
is a world-class facility for brain problems, and lucky me. So the neurosurgeon saw us about a month later, us being me and my husband, and told me it was a small cavernous malformation,
okay.
that I didn't need to worry about it. It had hemorrhaged before. Like, I don't think they really understand when they say these words like, "Oh, your brain bled
Yeah.
by the way before."
Right,
Did
right.
you notice that?
Right.
And where it's at is really rare. The fourth ventricle is pretty rare to have a angioma there. And it had bled. There's hemosiderin around it, meaning iron deposits. So they knew it bled before and had no idea when. I have no idea when it came to be. It was sometime in between when I was 21 and 40 years old.
Okay.
So that's quite a span.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the plan was, let's have MRIs every 6 months. And as long as it stays stable, then we'll go out to a year in between MRIs. So flash forward to August of 2020, I had my annual MRI at that point, and the neurosurgeon's office called, and they said, the doctor would like to see you, but you don't have to worry. It's no big deal. No
Okay.
big deal. Everything's fine. You don't have to worry, but he wants to see you now. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, it's been a few years, but
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
So I scheduled a telehealth appointment. We are in the midst of the
COVID.
pandemic at
Right.
that time.
Right.
So he tells me that it appears the angioma is starting to plump up,
Oh.
and he's worried it's going to bleed again.
Hmm.
And a bleed in that area can cause stroke, paralysis, death. Yeah, it can cripple me for the rest of my life. So my choice was have brain surgery, remove it,
Mhm.
or roll the dice, and maybe if it bleeds, it won't affect me again.
Mhm.
So I talked with my husband and my daughters, and we all kind of decided, well, let's not take our chances. We'll go for brain surgery. The surgeon said it's an easy surgery. It's very accessible. That's no big deal. And me listening to that, I'm like, okay, well, he said it's no big deal. So brain surgery is not a big deal. Brain surgery is a big deal. I'm here to tell you. they said afterwards, have someone stay with you for a day and you'll be fine. And no, I had to learn how to walk again.
Mhm.
I had to learn how to use the restroom again. I
Mhm.
couldn't shower by myself for a month.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's a big deal. So
Mhm.
just because it's an easy surgery for the surgeon doesn't mean it's not easy for the patient.
Right.
Right.
So in all that time after the surgery, let me back up.
Mhm.
We scheduled the surgery for November of 2020. It canceled because the hospital was full.
Okay.
Then we moved to January of 2021. It canceled because the
Wow.
hospital was full. And when you have neurosurgery, there's only certain hospitals you can go to
Mhm.
because they have
Mhm.
special tooling.
Mhm.
So the hospital that my surgeon operated from, full. So finally, February 4th of 2021, I went in. And what was great about all this, and many people are like, oh my gosh, how did you live all those months
Mhm.
knowing you had to have brain surgery?
Worrying.
And
Yes,
Yeah.
worrying.
counseling?
Right.
Well, I just kept assuming, okay, well, look at the COVID numbers. It's going to count. I'm not going. I didn't believe it until they were wheeling me into the operating room that it was actually going to happen and they weren't going to
Oh.
cancel me again.
Okay.
Wow.
So I got the surgery. I came home. I had occupational therapy for a few weeks. Then they sent me to physical therapy, vestibular physical therapy,
Mhm.
to help with balance, because when you operate in the cerebellum, it doesn't help your balance at all.
Mhm.
And I was real dizzy. I was assigned to the couch. I wasn't allowed to stand up
Mhm.
by myself. That was the rules in my house. So either my daughter or my husband had to help me stand up, and they helped me, bless them, through everything, do my physical therapy, teach me how to walk again. They would take me on walks. My
Aw.
daughter took me on a walk. It was so sweet. But I got much better and I graduated from physical therapy. Then in, I would say, May, I started getting numb in my toes.
Okay.
And then my right eye had a lot of pain in it, but it
Mhm.
wasn't in the eye. It was like between the socket and the actual eyeball. It was just an achy pain and I couldn't figure it out. And all of a sudden, it felt like my eyes were moving through jello and my vision was bouncing and everybody was like at a rave and bouncing around and dancing, even though they weren't.
Mhm.
So I called the neurosurgeon's office and told them, I got these weird symptoms. I should also mention I have another abnormality in my frontal lobe. So he told me in the hospital, if you start to feel numb on your right side, let us know because something up there might be going on. Okay. So I feel numb. I tell them, they say, go see your ophthalmologist.
Okay.
So I go to my ophthalmologist. My eyes, all the structures of my eyes are perfect. My optical nerve is perfect, but she finds the stagnus in my left eye.
Okay.
That's what's making everything bounce. She also has found that my eyes have drifted vertically apart by 3 degrees. So that's causing double vision.
Mhm.
So she says, call your neurosurgeon's office, tell them your eyes are just fine. It's not an eye problem that's happening. And so at that point, he decided, okay, let's do another MRI.
Mhm.
So I do another MRI. And I'm telling you, I have a frequent flyer card for MRI at this point.
Yeah.
Why do you have to keep asking me the same questions? I'm here all the freaking time.
We'll have to play
and
like
that's true
a
of most brain people.
Yes.
yeah. I was
Yes.
gonna say we'll have to play like a Pokemon game together where war, where we keep putting down MRI discs,
Right.
and see who wins.
But you know what? When Jean started her
goodness.
MRI journey, they were films. And we have boxes of films that are so heavy. Now they're on discs. It's so nice.
Right.
What a change.
Right.
But go ahead.
But I feel ya. I am going to ask, like, what is your go-to thing to distract yourself when you're in that tube? But
go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So my go-to distraction, just to answer your question real quick,
Yeah.
Jean, is the sounds. They always put earplugs in, of course, but the sound. I just close my eyes and the sounds sound like rave music to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I imagine I'm floating on the ocean listening to rave music, and for some reason it works.
Okay.
Okay. That's great. I like it.
So this MRI came back with a lesion on my medulla that appeared to be demyelinating disease. And for those of us in the know, that actually means multiple sclerosis.
Right.
So my neurosurgeon's office calls and says, we're out. This has nothing to do with us. This isn't surgery. Go to see your neurologist. My neurologist who is the best person in the universe aside from my general doctor, says, okay, we're sending you for spinal tap, and we're going to do another MRI on cervical and thoracic spine. So my neck and upper back area. That's where MS lesions like to hang out. And to be diagnosed with MS, you need to have 2 lesions. So I do these tests. And in the meantime, I'm getting a little bit fed up of the 1, 2, 3, not it between all the doctors. And so I send everything up to Mayo Clinic and ask them, can you please give me a second opinion on this? Can you please review my case? They agreed. I'm very lucky. So I went to Mayo. They did blood work to see if I had autoimmune diseases. And they did an optical nerve test where I had to look at these weird pictures if they put electrodes all over my head to see how fast the images were moving to the back of my brain. And they also were taking pictures of my eyes. And the technician who was doing the pictures of my eyes says, can you please make your left eye stay still? I can't get a good picture of it. And I said, you know what, I would love to, but I can't.
Wow.
So, you know, it's definitely been an experience for sure. So the spinal tap comes back clear, perfectly healthy.
That's good.
The MRI comes back clear, perfectly healthy. The blood work all comes back clear, nothing wrong with me. So obviously nothing's wrong with me. I'm falling down everywhere, and running into things. So then, where are we at? Then I send all of my previous MRIs up to Mayo's radiologist.
Okay.
And he looks at all of them and he says, okay, well, she has a DVA, midline cerebellum, a developmental venous anomaly. And those tend to have angiomas cluster around them. So that makes sense why I got that sporadic angioma. And he says, but this lesion on the medulla looks a lot like HOD, Hypertrophic Olivary Degeneration. And of course, Mayo, I don't know that you know this, but Mayo has a portal. So I'm reading all these reports. And I start Googling and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe this is happening. I can't believe this. So then the neurologist calls me from Mayo and he says, so it looks like it's something called hypertrophic olivary degeneration. It's no big deal. We've seen a couple of cases like this. And as far as we don't see a lot, but as far as we can tell, it just goes away on its own. Well, I'm here to tell you it does not.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's going to be here for the rest of my life. So,
wow. I'm sorry, and I shouldn't laugh.
But we've been there. We've gone through this, and we
Wow.
understand. And it's
shocking.
You have to laugh because otherwise you cry.
But this is the Mayo Clinic telling you it's
no big deal.
It's
We've seen it a couple of times.
And it's going to go away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's like the surgeon that, well, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, and then I sent that on to my neurosurgeon and I said, apparently it's this.
Right.
And he says, oh, that's interesting. Is it interesting? Because I have to live with this for the rest of my life now.
Yeah.
So, I guess the whole theme of this is, boy, we could really use some help with our medical personnel on how they treat us because we're people.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I think they forget sometimes I'm not just a film, I'm a person.
Right.
And this is my entire life and I have to learn how to live with this.
Right.
So I found an excellent Facebook, it's the only one, Facebook group for hypertrophic olivary degeneration families, people that have it, caregivers, and that was started by my good friend Erin Loughran. And she goes to Mayo in Rochester, and they have a different idea of what HOD is than Mayo in Scottsdale. And no disrespect to Mayo at all. They're the ones who actually figured out what it was. So
right.
I do have gratitude for that. So in talking to this group of folks, we kind of talked to each other. Do you have this symptom? No, but do you have this? So it's kind of like bingo.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yes.
And when you have brain problems, I'm sure that you're aware, it takes a lot more to just act like a normal person. Like this conversation will probably deplete all of my energy for the entire day.
Yes.
Which is fine. But you learn that and you have to accept that.
Right.
Or you're just going to be stuck in depression forever. And that's not cool either. So that's where we kind of decided that, hey, we should start a patient organization. That's what NORD and GARD tell us to do, to try and raise funds to fundraise to get research into our own disease, just so we can even figure out why this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens idiopathically too. We've got a couple of people that never had any brain injury, never any brain trauma at all, and it's happened to them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we know a lot more than the doctors, actually.
Right.
Well, yeah.
So that brings us to now.
Wow.
Okay. Well, so that was, Jean was going to ask how long did it take? What was that, 4 years then, basically?
Well, because you were on a standby checking with the MRIs, but then it developed after the surgery.
Right. So I don't know if it's when they were resecting the angioma, I had a brain bleed at that time during the surgery.
Okay.
So it could be from a brain bleed. It could be surgical injury. Who knows? Who cares? I got it.
Right.
So it took me from the first symptom, which was the numbness, like it's one-sided numbness for me. Numbness and the eye pain was May. So it really I was diagnosed at end of June. So only 2 months. Again, massive anomaly there.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
That's intense.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, so do you go to, and I have so many questions for you. I'm going to try to limit them. I'm going to try to contain
Upright
myself.
MRI.
Yeah, I want to be your new best friend, but.
Upright MRI?
Oh, no, not upright MRI. Do you see a neuro-ophthalmologist now? Or is that not a necessary thing?
I tried.
Oh, okay.
I tried to get into, there's only 2 neuro-ophthalmologists in the state of Arizona. One is at Mayo and one's at Barrow.
Oh.
So I tried to get in with Barrow and they won't see me.
Oh. Are you not complicated enough?
Right. I have, no, I mean, I have to get a referral.
Mm-hmm.
No, they just don't think I need to be seen, I guess.
Oh.
Well, I guess it depends on where the problem is. If the problem is actually brain orient, or if the origin is in the brain and not the optic nerve, well, then it's back to the, Jean had this problem at when she first got
we
injured.
did want to have all the doctors in one room,
Yes,
because I would literally walk across the hall
and they
would say, "Oh no, it's the other one," and it's like, okay,
it's ortho. No, it's neuro. No, it's ortho. No, it's neuro.
Yeah.
You're across the hall from each other. You come out here in the hall. You come out here in the hall.
Well,
talk to each other.
But it is nice when there's a care team,
and that's why Mayo, I think, is the best option.
They do work together.
Yes.
Yeah, which is very nice. And also, you get your test done like right away. Like they want a blood test right away.
Yes.
MRI right away.
Yes.
So that's very nice.
Yes.
But,
I asked Mayo to take my case, but Mayo will not take my case because I've already been operated on by somebody else.
Oh, yeah, we had that problem too.
So
yes.
Yeah. You know the story.
We have had that problem
too. It's a good time.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sorry
Good
that
to be stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
And you went through all of this during COVID.
Right, that's
So please do give yourself a pat on the
big
back.
hug.
At least
Big
once
hug.
a day. Oh my gosh. And thank goodness for your family and that they were so supportive. Because it is hard for other people, I think, to understand as well.
Well, that was going to be my question.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay,
No, don't. I'm just, excuse me. I mean, I'm overwhelmed at hearing everything that you've gone through. You mentioned your husband and your daughters. They had to have been. I was
going to say, Ron keeps looking at your image.
I know.
And we're going to have to have him look into them. Yeah.
I know. Sorry. They had to have been a major support for you in order for you to not only get through the physical part of it, but the emotional part as well.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, they've been troopers. They have put on a brave face. That I got my husband to tell me at one point that he would cry on his way to work because he didn't want to show that he was upset. I'm like, if you're not upset, then there's something wrong with you. We need to go see a doctor for you, because if this happened to you, I would be torn apart. I wouldn't know what to do.
Right.
But men don't understand that it's okay to feel that
it takes
pain
great
and
strength
pressure and strength. Yes, right. So thank God you got a good one there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna
backtrack a little bit.
I love the humor.
I was gonna say, your sense of humor is perfect.
Yes. Besides the balance, I think the balance might have been the worst. But how did the diagnosis affect your day-to-day life?
Right.
Well, the only thing that had to change for me was everything.
Oh, okay.
So I can't. I'm not really comfortable driving
Okay.
because every time I turn my head, I get very dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I am sick to my stomach all the time because I'm very dizzy, which you'd be surprised because my head moves around like I'm a bobblehead when I talk.
Mm-hmm.
As mentioned before, I'm actually a credit account manager for a heavy machinery company. So my life is spreadsheets
Oh, wow.
and
Yeah.
2 monitors. And so having eyes move around and double
Mhm.
vision, it's really hard to track back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had to learn how to use tools instead of, I have to really swallow my pride a lot and like write things down or I will forget them.
Okay.
I have to be humble and ask for people to please communicate with me by email and rather than phone because I have a hard time concentrating and focusing on what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So work-wise, and then at home I still can't mop my floors because you do not realize how much you're looking down. And I also have, I forget what it's called, like Ocelopsia, and my eyes just start moving like crazy on their own.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no control over that. So I try to avoid that as much as possible. We call it googly eyes at my house.
Mm-hmm.
I think my neurologist is calling it googly eyes now because that's funny and that's what it looks like. So yeah, I just had to relearn how to do everything as a human adult.
I guess I'm wondering if your double vision is a constant or if it's constantly fluctuating. Because like for me, I had to get glasses with prisms. And for years I had the glasses with prisms, and now they're like, well, the prisms aren't really going to work because like they would adjust things for the prisms, and then I would say it's not right, and they're like, well, it was right 10 seconds ago. So is it a constant thing, or is it constantly fluctuating where prisms would not help?
So these have my glasses
Okay.
I'm wearing now have prisms in
Okay.
them. My ophthalmologist can correct for a 3-degree differential, which is what I have.
Oh, okay.
And that's the max, but she'll only do 2 degrees. So no matter what, I'm always going to have double vision.
Okay. And one of my favorite
Yeah.
questions. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was going to say, as you probably know, your brain is so amazing that it just kind of adjusts and you just learn to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I could do the spreadsheet thing.
No.
I've converted to like listening to everything. So yeah,
For sure.
you're quite the trooper.
Mm-hmm.
And there is
How are the headaches though?
Well, since brain surgery, I've only had maybe 10 migraines, and it's just been a year now.
Okay.
But what all of the neurologists and neurosurgeons tell me is that your brain is going to take a break from migraines for a little bit because we've really shaken things up in there. And once it gets back to normal, your migraines are going to come back worse.
Oh, wow.
And harder. So we found a medication that works for me, which is butalbital.
Okay.
And it's not one of the medications where you have to like, okay, are the stars aligned? And am I taking this at the exact right time or it doesn't work? And so no, I can take it whenever.
Okay.
And it takes me about an hour to knock out the migraine.
And what does it
make it to a manageable?
What is that medication?
It's called butalbital.
How do you spell that?
Butalbital.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to write it down. How do you spell that?
We can look it up, but
approximately. Yeah.
Talbital.
Okay.
Well, like butal.
Okay, great. Thanks.
That's what I was calling it. And they're like, no. Sure.
Okay.
And my oldest sister actually has chronic migraine disease. So we kind of bounce back and forth with, okay, what works for you and what works for you?
Right.
And there have been new releases in the past few years. So it's been constantly in flux.
Nurtec is amazing.
Oh.
Yes, Nurtec is amazing, but no insurance covers it.
Oh, okay.
Nurtec is fabulous.
Yeah, see, we could do that too. We could trade like medications. Like they should have playing cards with all the different migraine medications. And we could be like, have you tried this one?
Well, what's funny is my sister and I agree that Tylenol probably is the easiest to acquire, the cheapest, and probably works up there with the best for both of us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At least it dulls it
a
little bit.
Right.
If you take it right away, like?
Well, Tylenol I can take anytime.
Okay.
I usually fight taking medication because I'm hard-headed.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Special brain is what I am.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
And
have you, in addition to that, like, do you ever use ice or heat And does anything like that help? And taking a break from reading spreadsheets or like even an eye mask, does that help?
I don't like eye masks. I've
Okay.
tried them. I have a headache hat, which
Oh, yeah.
I got on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It was recommended to me because from a friend that I work with 20 feet away from me, who also had to have brain surgery during COVID for a meningioma.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh,
I
wow.
know. We're special. So she introduced me to the headache hat, and boy, that has been wonderful.
And that's that thing that circulates the ice water around the head?
It doesn't.
Oh.
You freeze it. It lives in my
Oh,
freezer, and I
okay.
just put it on. So it's like a headband
Okay.
that has ice packs in it, and it goes all the way around. You can do it on your neck.
Okay.
You can do it anywhere.
Okay.
Our engineer is pulling up images, and
images,
we
yeah.
can
Oh,
be
nice. Okay.
yes, he's doing an
Well,
amazing
yeah,
job.
we had bought Jean
From
a
Polar Ice, where it's a cooler with ice cubes and water that circulates cold water. So
It
like I
pumps
used
it.
it after surgery multiple times, and yeah, it just constantly circulates freezing
ice
cold water. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make a lot of noise, or does it make any
It's-
noise? At
Yes,
all?
It does make
that
some
is what she
noise.
doesn't like about it.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the only aspect.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Mhm.
down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about dark rooms and sounds and smells?
Oh, smells. Yeah.
So light isn't too bad for me. I can
Okay.
deal with that. I can't handle competing sounds, so I'll often wear noise blocking earbuds or something.
Mhm.
Okay.
Where if I can listen to just music or a podcast or something, then I will,
Okay.
because that's the only sound that I hear. But if someone's trying to talk to me and something else is happening, I can't do it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Smells, I don't.
Not a
Nothing
problem.
really triggers me on that.
Okay. Good. Good.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that is. And okay, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah, we're all just
That's
kind of
a-
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like such a big problem. It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. And we did see that on Rare Disease Day .org, you have a link to your association.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
I was curious, what inspired you to start the association, and what is your overall goal for the association, and how can we support it?
So the goal of the association is to raise funds so that we can get research into our disease.
Okay.
I'm not sure that there can be a cure. I mean, I
Mhm.
don't want to be negative about that, but
Mhm.
I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But they thought that about angiomas too, and we're not too far away thanks to Connie Lee and her amazing organization, Angioma Alliance. Big shout out to Connie and all the people over there. The reason that I started it was because I couldn't just sit around feeling helpless anymore.
Mhm.
You know, it's just like, okay, you have this thing. We think it's kind of like Parkinson's. We don't know how to treat it. You tell us how to treat you. And that's not acceptable to me.
Right.
It's just not. And so I feel like it's important to make hay while the sun is shining.
Mhm.
And my symptoms aren't so bad right now compared to some other folks in the group. So I was like, well, I've got friends and family that want to be on a board. We're going to start this 501c3. We just got approved for our 501c3 status. I don't even have the paperwork from the IRS yet.
Okay.
So we're working on fundraising efforts. Our board is amazing. We meet once every other month. And the goal is really to support patients, friends, family, spread awareness, and do everything we can to start getting some research into this disease. As you saw in doing research for this, there's really
Nothing out there. Right.
much.
Right.
Right. Well, if the Mayo Clinic has only seen a few cases,
That blew me away.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely need more
Yeah.
awareness. And if it is preventable, as far as when there is a surgical procedure going on, maybe, new protocols and protocols also for stroke victims, if it's related at all to that. So this is fascinating. And for the, medical students out there listening, a great avenue for research.
Yeah, if somebody wants to do their thesis, let's
Yeah, I guess
start on this.
I guess PhD students and
Right.
medical students listening.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so we've seen that there has been some research and shown some genetic link.
Okay.
They also know that it can be caused by certain surgical procedures.
Mhm.
So I think it's just a whole potpourri of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's something like, okay, well, you need surgery in this area, maybe we should run a quick genetic test
Sure.
and see if you have these mutations, because
Mhm.
your
More
chance of getting HOD is much higher.
Right, right.
Or at least even to make patients aware, if you start to
Yes.
see these symptoms, it could be this. Here's what's going on. So that's
Yes.
fantastic. Thank you.
Very good.
When it's difficult just to get through the day, it's amazing to see someone like you leading the way and making a difference. And you're going to be my new role model, in addition to my new best friend. Sorry. Okay. And what else do you wish people knew about HOD, and what are some common misconceptions?
Well, I don't think there's enough time in the day for me to tell
Okay.
you all the things I would love for you to know about HOD. But what's important is that we are still normal people. We're just regular people. We have a different relationship with gravity. Some of us fall a lot.
I love it. I love
you
it.
might be in a rave for most of us that have you bouncing around in our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we might see two of you. So there's just twice as much to love.
Yep.
It's amazing. The brain people that I've met have such great personalities and humor, and just it's wonderful kind of to have this, just because you really see how sweet life can be every day.
Mm-hmm.
Any little I was retraining myself with a rollator how to walk.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day I walked without the rollator, I was like, I can walk like a normal person again. Yay, I can pass. So you have to celebrate all the little victories in your life. You have to, and appreciate the people around you. And relationships can be hard with rare disease and ultra rare disease. So
Wow, it's little wins. Little wins.
That's okay. Yeah, it was just misconceptions, and absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So misconceptions for sure. And we're not like drooling out of our mouths, like vegetables. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what takes a normal person that no thought at all takes us all the thought in the world.
Right.
So it just be kind and recognize that it's tougher for us.
Yeah, the rare disease for Ehlers-Danlos group uses the spoon theory, and every day you're allotted so many spoons, and you got to use them where you can, but because once you're out of spoons, you're out of spoons. And same thing with what you've got going there. So you've got to balance, and you've got to prioritize, and unfortunately that may mean that you don't go to parties because it's too much on you. Have you found that?
Okay.
Well,
COVID has helped me with that.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's
So
true. That's true.
I don't have to find that.
Right.
And I'm an accountant, so nobody's really inviting the accountant to the parties anyway.
Oh, we all need accountants.
We all need you.
Do you do stand-up comedy on the side?
Yeah.
I mean, I should, but I can't stand up very well, Ron.
I think
she's got it.
Oh,
got it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I walked into that one.
We should hook you up with FUMS.
Yes.
Who?
FUMS.
Kathy, what's her name?
I cannot think right now, but she also has an amazing sense of humor and has written some rather interesting books.
With MS, and her website is FUMS.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Here, if you look, Ron is pulling it up right now.
Yeah.
I'm doing
You just have to, or not Ron, I'm sorry, Dominic. Dominic pulls up.
Kathy what? What's her last name? I forgot her
and
last
watch,
name.
it's not Kathy. We're terrible.
No, it is Kathy.
Okay.
I can't think of her last name.
He's highlighting it.
I'm writing this down.
Okay.
No, that's not her. That's just somebody that she had.
Okay. We will find out. And also, there is a little robot from iRobot that mops the floors.
What? Oh.
Well, I actually am fortunate enough to be able to hire someone to come every other week to help me.
Oh, there you go.
But I mean, I try. I'm nuts. I have the perfect excuse to not do chores anymore. And here I'm like, don't do the laundry. I'm doing the laundry. Don't empty the dishwasher. I got to do it.
Right.
Yeah, don't lift that child that weighs over a gallon of milk weight. Yep, and you go ahead and pick up.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
and that's also a common misconception, is that people that have disabilities are lazy, and boy, is that not farther from the truth.
Yeah. I was so excited when I could vacuum, which is really silly. But that was a thrilling day when I could use the vacuum.
I'm excited every time you don't pass out.
Yeah, I'm excited every time I pass out also too. Oh yeah, it's always a good thing.
It's not funny, but it is.
Oh yeah. We kind of have like, how many days since the last accident? It's how many days since the last time she passed out. Because like one of the times I almost decapitated myself, so that was kind of scary. But yeah,
No, I always joke with these two, Christina, that they should take their little show on the road because they just go back and forth.
It must be a brain injury thing or
It
brain
must
surgery.
be.
I think I'm going to add you to that list. You can join them.
Yes.
Maybe
I
the
can
opening act.
I'll open for you.
It's a club. It's a club.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what does the future look like? What did the doctors mention for?
Oh, I'm
hold
so
on a
sorry.
second.
Somebody just dropped their phone before we started.
That's my other daughter trying to bounce in.
Okay.
What does the future look like for you? Are you going to be having to have repeat MRIs? How are they going to track you from now on?
So with my neurosurgeon and neurologist, I'll probably, right now we're settling on annual MRIs unless I have new symptoms that scare me, which, as you know, it's hard to scare a person that's been through brain surgery. Like
Right.
with the googly eyes, everyone's like, oh my gosh, have you seen a doctor? I'm like, yeah, I have an appointment in like 6 months. Fine. I'll talk to him then. So, it's really hard to cross that threshold of what's going to scare me and what doesn't.
Right.
So right now we have no idea what my future looks like.
Okay.
I'm just, every day I wake up and can get out of bed and function and feed myself is a good day.
That's it. One foot in front of the other.
And you know what? From this conversation, just listening to you talk and kind of using humor too, which is helpful, because it's a lot. I mean, you talk about people with disabilities and the struggles and this and that, and it is a lot. And you could go down that path where, you're negative or you're always feeling sorry for yourself. Where I work, I unfortunately have students like that kind of go down that path, and it's difficult. So, hearing you and telling your story and hearing you use humor, and I'm sure you have rough times, but using humor and all that to kind of get through it, it's got to really be very therapeutic.
Yes. You've got a very good attitude, and that helps.
Thank you. It does help. I did start to go down the why me path, pretty hardcore, but thankfully my amazing general doctor noticed that I couldn't carry on a conversation without sobbing uncontrollably, and I couldn't recover from that. So she couldn't even say, how are you doing without me? So she put me on some antidepressants, and I have no hate for that. I'm grateful for it. That's when I really started to go more of on an upward trend and try and see, okay, I'm not going to think about what I can't do. Let's try to do things and see what I can do.
Yeah. Well, Christine, do you have any tips or hints or any advice for our listeners other than what we just talked about?
Yes, I do. So for listeners, for everybody, it's been really helpful for me to understand the term groundlessness, that we don't really have a safety net. This kind of thing can happen to anybody. It doesn't discriminate at all. So we have to kind of just accept that maybe life is not going to be what we think it's going to be. And sometimes you get some lemons and you just have to make gallons and gallons and gallons of lemonade with it.
In our community,
also, for somebody who's just, I'm sorry, we have a delay. For somebody who's just been diagnosed with HOD, I would recommend stay as physically active as you can. Learn new things. I've been taking French lessons. I'm trying to learn how to play the piano. I started this organization, challenge your brain. Always challenge your brain.
I have read that playing a musical instrument is always a very therapeutical thing for anyone with any kind of a brain injury, illness, malformation, whatever, because it rewires and resets, and that's an excellent thing to do.
Okay, yeah, and that's
yes, I've read that too. My neurologist suggested that.
That's great. Yeah, now I feel like an underachiever.
I'm gonna
No,
hey,
don't.
I'll go in
I'm
the
an overscheduled child.
go in the kitchen and get a piece of wax paper and a comb and play the comb.
I've always wanted to play the recorder, like Ode to Joy and the recorder. Yeah, so after this,
You'll
I might
be
have
okay.
I might
Now
have
get
Go
some
for
of the
it.
pots and pans out and start banging them.
Oh yeah, she used to do that when she was
Oh.
I
a
was
kid.
going to say, yes, very reminiscent of when I was in my 2s and 3s.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you ever so much for taking this time. It's been great to meet you, and a little horrifying to hear your story. But you've come out the other end, and with a great sense of humor, and having met fantastic care providers, that is
you're kind of
significant.
lucky that you live where
Yes.
you live.
And that your doctor listens to you.
Yes.
And that
Well,
you are so
two of them, yeah.
Yeah, and you're so in tune with your body that you recognized when something was off, which is amazing and fantastic. So yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate
The last thing, can you do you have any social media links, or how can we find out more about you?
it. And your association.
Right.
Right.
Sure, we do. So I'm on Facebook. I think I'm just under Christina Coates, just my name. I'm not hiding from anybody.
Okay.
We on the internet, we have a website for the association. It's HODASSOC.org. So like HODA, so short for association. So HODASSOC.org.
Okay.
We're also starting a presence on Twitter, Instagram. I believe my marketing director wants to get us on TikTok because she thinks, well, we both think it would be fun to just do like, I'm not just the president of HOD, I'm also a client, and then just,
Right.
Just goofy stuff.
Right.
So keep it light, but also let people know that, yes, it's something you're going to have for the rest of your life, but you don't have to die from this. You just don't have to. You can live your life.
Right. It's something you have and not something, it's not who you are.
We call it the new normal.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Yes, thank you very much for joining the show. And if our listeners have any questions or comments related to today's show, they can contact us at PodcastDX@yahoo.com. We have a website, PodcastDX.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok.
And if you have a moment to spare, please give us a review wherever you get your podcast or follow us on Apple. As always, please keep in mind that this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, and always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regime, and never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this podcast. And actually, are we on Metra now? It's not
Meta.
Oh, Meta. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay.
Until next week.